Welcome back. Now we will discuss the next step in cryopreservation, that is freezing. The type of crystal water that is stored in the cells is very important for the survival of the tissue. It is for this reason there are three different types of freezing procedures that is being developed. First one is rapid freezing, then we have stepwise freezing, then we have slow freezing. First we will discuss rapid freezing. So in the rapid freezing, the plant material will be placed into vial after all the pre-treatment and addition of cryoprotectants. We will place them in the vials and it will be plunged into a liquid nitrogen which has a cooling rate of minus 300 to minus 1000 degree Celsius per minute or more. So this method is technically very simple and it is very easy to handle. So the quicker the freezing is done, the smaller the intracellular ice crystals are. We can also use dry ice, that is CO2, instead of nitrogen, and we can use a similar technique. The dry ice will be having the temperature of minus 79 degrees Celsius. It is also possible that ultra rapid cooling they prevent the growth of intracellular ice crystals by rapidly passing the cells through the temperature zone, that is from liquid to solid. We are rapidly passing them, so it will prevent the formation of lethal ice crystals. This rapid freezing has been employed to cryopreserve shoot tips of carnation, potato, strawberry, and brassica napus, and also somatic embryos. The next method is slow freezing. So, as the name suggests, the tissue is slowly frozen with a temperature decrease of about 0.1 to 10 degrees Celsius per minute, or from 0 degrees Celsius to minus 100 degrees Celsius, and then we are transferring them into liquid nitrogen. So what will happen, the survival of the cells in the slow freezing is having some effects, because we have some beneficial effects of dehydration, because it minimizes the amount of water that freezes intracellularly. This slow cooling will also permit the flow of water from the cells to the outside, thereby promoting extracellular ice crystal formation instead of lethal intracellular freezing. This slow freezing is generally employed to freeze the tissues for which computer programmed freezers have been developed, and it is generally observed that upon extracellular freezing, the cytoplasm will be effectively concentrated and plant cells will survive better when they are adequately dehydrated. The stepwise freezing is actually a combination of rapid and slow methods. The slow freezing procedure, that is about minus 20 degrees Celsius to minus 40 degrees Celsius, is done, and then it is stopped for a period of time. For approximately 30 minutes we will stop the freezing, and then additional rapid freezing to minus 196 degrees Celsius is done by plunging into the liquid nitrogen. The slow freezing procedure, it is initially to minus 20 to minus 40 degrees Celsius, right? That will permit the protective dehydration of the cell, and then the rapid freezing, then comes the rapid freezing by plunging into minus 196 degrees Celsius, right? So it will prevent the formation of big ice crystals in the biochemically important structures. And this stepwise freezing method, it is actually good, and it gives excellent results in the strawberry and in suspension cultures. The next step in cryopreservation is storage. So we have frozen and all the material, but we have to now store them at the correct temperature. Yes, storing is also equally important as freezing. So the frozen cells or tissues, they are immediately kept for storage at temperature ranging from minus 70 degrees Celsius to minus 196 degrees Celsius, and liquid nitrogen refrigerators, that is running at minus 150 degrees Celsius in the vapor phase or minus 196 degrees Celsius in liquid phase, is ideal for storage. The temperature should be sufficiently low for long-term storage of cells to stop all the metabolic activities and prevent them from biochemical injuries. In the long term storage is done at minus 196 degrees Celsius. So as long as there is a regular supply of liquid nitrogen and everything is good, the refrigerator, everything is good, then it is possible to maintain the frozen material with a little further care. The next step is thawing. So what to do if we want to regenerate these frozen specimens? So that is what is called thawing. So in thawing, it is usually carried out by putting the ampule containing the sample in warm water bath for about 35 to 40 degrees Celsius. Then this frozen tips of the samples, they are plunged into warm water with a vigorous swirling. Okay, because this swirling action will prevent damage, and we will only put them in the water bath just at that point when this ice disappears. At that point itself, you have to take it out. So at that point itself, you have to take it out. Otherwise, it will affect the survival of these tissues. So after the ice melts, we should not keep them in this water bath. And so after this specimen has thawed, we have to quickly transfer them to the bath that is maintained under room temperature, that is about 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. And then you have to continue the swirling action for another 50 seconds. And then we have to because while we are swirling, we are actually cooling the warm walls of the tubes. Then we have to wash and culture transfer procedures have to be followed. Then to avoid excessive damage to this tissues, we have to minimize the amount of handling at the pre-growth stage. Okay, so this is a figure explaining the whole cryopreservation technique. So we have actually taken a sample or a tissue or whatever it is. Then we have added the cryoprotectants. Then we will transfer them into an ampule, and we will freeze them in liquid nitrogen, and we will store them in liquid nitrogen. And while we are thawing, we will keep them in warm water. After the ice disappears, we will immediately transfer them into room temperature. Then we will again grow them on a medium, and then we will take them into field. Now we will discuss the next technique of in vitro germplasm conservation, that is the slow growth method. So here we are not freezing them, so we are keeping them under non-freezing conditions, so that it is actually kept in a slow growth state rather than its optimum level of growth. So we can think of like you all know the bonsai trees, right? The Japanese gardeners and all cultivate the bonsai trees. So in this, they are actually big trees and all, like banyan tree and all. They are kept alive in small pots over 100 of years. So we can think this method has something comparable to this. Okay, and here we are actually we are actually controlling some growth regulators or some growth requirements of plants. The first one is temperature, then low oxygen pressure, nutrient restriction, growth regulators, osmotic. So these are the 5 methods for slow growth method of germplasm conservation. We'll discuss the first one, that is temperature. So what we are doing is we are culturing the tissues at a low temperature, that is about 1 to 4 degrees Celsius. We'll be culturing them and at that temperature. Then they will grow in a slow growth state. So we can use explants such as callus, shoot tip cultures, or nodal segments and somatic embryos, and this can be established and maintained for 3 to 4 weeks under standard growth conditions. And then after this 3 to 4 weeks, the explants are then transferred to lower temperatures of about 1 to 4 degrees Celsius for cultures. And for cultures that are grown under 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, you can go for 1 to 4 degrees Celsius. But the normally cultures are grown under 30 degrees Celsius. In that case, you can preserve them at 4 to 10 degrees Celsius. and you have to give her 16-hour photo period, that is with reducing the lightning, and that is actually beneficial for these cultures. And you have to store these cultured cells under low temperature, that is, so you can actually store these for prolonged periods of 9 months to 17 months. So there are specimens like Musa and Loliums that are stored under these conditions. The next technique is low oxygen pressure. The oxygen pressure can be regulated by atmospheric or partial pressure. So generally the tissue's growth reduces when this oxygen pressure declines below 50 mm per Hg, and the viability of the callus culture increases when they are stored under 2 to 4 ml of mineral oil at 22 degrees Celsius. Why is that? Because under when we are overlying with the mineral oil, there is a low oxygen intake by the culture materials, and that is result in the decreased production of CO2. So that is a technique for low oxygen storage. So we can also this photosynthetic processes will also be reduced in these tissues, and it will also inhibit their future or their further growth. The major limitation of this technique is that in the long term effects of low partial pressure of oxygen on the plants, because they will also they can also term as detrimental for these plants. The next technique is nutrient restriction. So you can actually lower the nutrient concentration of the medium by half or by 1/4 of its useful in retarding the growth of cultures in some species. So it is better if individual nutrients are restricted, because or because they are altogether eliminated. So we can actually restrict an individual nutrient that is required for this plant by half or by 1/4. So this will go into a slow growth state. For example, we can say the grape shoot episodes, they are grown on MS medium with 6% of ammonium nitrate. So they have actually shown 70 to 80% survival, and they also greatly reduce their growth rate. Next technique is growth regulators. So we can also use plant growth regulators like succinic acid or 2,2-dimethyl hydroxide or abscisic acid, such things, to delay the culture growth. These compounds are generally used in the range of 10 to 20 mg per liter. These chemicals can reduce the growth mainly in the shorter internodes of the plants. The next technique is osmotics. The cultures are grown on a medium supplemented with high levels of different osmoticants like mannitol, sorbitol or sucrose. The concentrations ranging from 3 to 6%. High levels of compounds can act as osmotic inhibitors, and they will actually slow the growth. So by this method, virus-free strawberry plants are maintained for 6 years at 4 degrees Celsius. Grape plants have been stored for 15 years under 9 degrees Celsius, and this method, they actually hold a great promise in industry employing micropropagation techniques. So during the period of low demand for a particular genotype, the cultures may be simply shelved in a refrigerator to avoid the frequent subculturing. Now we will discuss the applications of germplasm conservation. The first one is conservation of genetic material. Large number of plant species are successfully maintained by means of cryopreservation of cultured embryos, tissues, cells or protoplast. The second application is free storage of cell cultures. So you can actually maintain a cell line by subculturing and transferring them periodically and repeatedly over an extended period of time. So it also requires much space and manpower. So this freeze preservation is an ideal approach because they will suppress the cell division, and they will avoid the need of periodical subculturing. The third application is the maintenance of disease-free stocks. We can actually stock the pathogen free stocks of rare plant materials. They can actually be frozen and stored. They can be revived and propagated when they are needed. So this method would be ideal for the international exchange of such materials. The fourth application is cold acclimation and frost resistance. The tissue cultures would provide a suitable material for selection of cold resistant mutant cell lines, which could later differentiate into frost resistant plants.